As we initiate chaos, theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots, sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only wakes us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Napoleon another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All about the Petty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. Come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Petty Express. In a beautiful darkness.
Hey guys, it's Mo, your conductress on the Petty Express, and we have probably the most heart-wrenching, I'm gonna guess, but also the most redonkulous, testimony from our pro se legal Barbie, if you ordered it from Temu, Lori. Kay Woodcock was the grandmother of JJ, but she also lost her brother, Charles, to this woman. And now she has to face her in open court and, deal with this absolute thunder cow having to talk to her. Now, I haven't seen this, but I'm sure it's going to get my goat. It's going to burn my biscuits. So, to honor Baker, as he always does, at the end, I even got shot glasses, y'all. I am so proud of me. I don't think I've ever had shot glasses. They have to stay in my room because youngest, most feral thinks that they're the greatest thing to drink out of. And I'm like, no, they're for booze. That being said, he was like, no, it's a little cup for me. But let's get into this. I do have closed captions on and I have boosted the sound. And welcome, Bandex. They have changed all the names. I have no idea. I'm sure I know who you are in chat when they didn't change the names. So now I'm going to have to learn everyone's names again. YouTube, change it back now. We don't like it.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Kay Woodcock. Charles Vallow's younger sister.
How old are you?
How old am I today?
Today.
64.
And are you married?
Yes.
Where do you currently live?
Lake Charles, Louisiana.
I want to talk to you about your siblings. You told us that you are Charles's sister. How many siblings were there in your family?
6.
And where did Charles fall into that?
He was number 3.
Who are the other siblings?
My oldest sister, Terry, then my next sister, Susan, then Charles, then Jerry, then me, then Bobby.
And where did you guys grow up?
Y'all, I feel seen. I have 6 children too, if you're new to this channel. So I'm like, hells yeah, 6 kids. I'm here for it. Although they mixed theirs up and I was lucky to have 3 girls first. And then God gave me 3 boys because I was I was a little too smug. I thought that I had parenting figured out.
We're in Lake Charles.
Okay. Were you close with your brother?
Yes, I was.
Did you know his wife, Lori Vallow?
Yes, I do.
Can you point her out in the courtroom and tell us what she's wearing?
She's the defendant over there in the black jacket.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
It shall.
I want to talk to you sort of about Lori and Charles. Were you at their wedding?
No, they went to Las Vegas.
Do you recall what year they got married?
2006.
So wait, they weren't married in the temple? Did Charles not have his temple recommend at the time? Because Lori does seem like a person, again, she made Charles or asked Charles to convert to the the LDS church. I would think that she would want to have, a marriage in the temple. That being said, maybe he wasn't able to go to the temple yet. I don't know where he was in his conversion, but Lori does strike me as someone who would want to be married in a temple.
Did they have a reception that?
I don't know if that's what you'd call it, but there was a family gathering in March of 2006 at a ranch near Austin, Texas, that we all went to.
Okay, kind of to celebrate that?
Yes.
Had your brother Charles been married before?
Yes,
Did he have any children from his prior marriage?
yes,
How many?
2.
And who were they?
Cole Vallow and Zach Vallow.
And did you know if Lori had any children from a prior marriage?
Yes, Colby Ryan and Tylee Ryan.
In when Lori and Charles got married, did Charles's 2 sons live with them?
Live with Charles and Lori?
Yeah.
No.
Did they stay with their mother?
Yes, they did. They visited, but they never lived there.
Where were they? Was that in Arizona or still in Texas?
In Austin.
I want to ask you sort of some of the ages of the children involved. In July of 2019, was Tylee still a minor?
Yes,
So she was still living with them.
yes,
In July of 29, do you know if Colby was still a minor?
yes. Oh, wait, no, Colby was not.
He was an adult at
He
that
was
point.
an adult.
And in July of 2019, were Charles's 2 sons, Cole and Zach, still minors or adults?
They were adults.
Okay. Did Charles and Lori have any children together?
They adopted my grandson, JJ.
And can you tell us how that worked out?
How that worked
Or
out,
how
meaning
how did they get involved in adopting your grandchild?
Charles approached me about it one day. He called, and I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on then, and that was my son's child, and there was a lot going on. So I just told him then, look, I can't make a decision like that. We don't know how this is going to go. Just well, just keep me in mind, keep it in mind. And so I kept it in mind.
And do you recall, when did they adopt JJ?
It was final in July of 2014.
How old was he then?
He was 2.
Did JJ have any special needs?
Yes, he was autistic, and he was born 10 weeks premature.
Okay. So he took a little extra care.
This pisses me off so much. He fought through so many different, challenges. This little boy was born 10 weeks early. That's 2.5 months early. And he fought that and he came back. And autism isn't a death sentence. It's just that they react to they react differently to different things. And it did seem that when Charles adopted, he made every effort to, encourage and get the early intervention for JJ, got him a service dog, a lot of things. It just breaks my heart that Lori did what she did. She is a monster.
He did, absolutely.
Do you recall, so if he was 2 and they adopted him, how old was he in July of 2019?
He was 7. We spent his 7th birthday together in Lake Charles.
So in July of 2019, to your knowledge, Lori and Charles still had 2 children under the age of 18 with them, Tylee and JJ?
Yes,
So if in July of 2019, Lori Vallow was saying she had 5 kids she was taking care of, you were unaware of the other 3?
there were not 5 there, no. There were 2.
Can you tell us about the relationship between Charles and JJ?
Charles was the best dad. I mean, he was always doting on him. The arrangement I figured out eventually was that if Charles was working out of town, Lori had him all by herself. And so when Charles got back to town, JJ was his to take care of, 100%.
Would Charles bring JJ to visit your side of the family in Louisiana?
Oh, yes.
Did you regularly see him?
Yes, once JJ learned how to fly, and, excuse me, I need water. Once JJ learned how to fly, and, that because he was autistic, something like that is, a big deal for him. And he loved it, so he was a little flyer. He loved to go in the airplane.
What did your brother Charles do for a living?
What I do like, even though this is heartbreaking, is we get to know JJ a little more. We get to know the kind of kid he was, because for a long time, he's been kind of, not a concept, I don't want to say that, but we didn't know about him. We knew about his heartbreaking story, his end, but we really didn't know about his beginning, his middle, what kind of kid he was. And as heartbreaking as it is, I'm glad that we are getting to know him a little better, if that makes any sense.
He sold annuities. He was a financial planner.
And how long did you know him to do that?
If I had to guess, 20 years, I
Did
guess.
he work for others or have his own business? What do you recall?
He had his own business.
Had he previously any times ever worked for others?
Yes,
Okay. But in July of 2019, he had his own business.
yes.
Did he have a business partner?
He did, yes.
Did his job require him to travel a lot?
He did. He would be gone 3 or 4 days a week, on average. Sometimes he didn't have to travel, but he was just, but yeah, he would be gone 3 or 4 days a week when he would be working.
I want to ask you a little bit about Charles. Was he sort of a meticulous person when it came to paperwork?
Oh, yes. I mean, for when you're doing that type of work, you have to be meticulous and methodical, and you can't make any errors. You can't miss a dot or crossing a T, because it will get kicked back to you, and then it just causes a lot of delay and a lot of trouble. So he was actually, he said, there was never anybody I've ever trusted to do this for me. And I was like, well, I'll do it for you, because
All right, we'll stop here.
yeah.
So when Charles was working as financial planner, do you know if he had Lori help him with any part of his job?
I don't really
I honestly think she has one in a box somewhere. She buried it, allegedly in Minecraft.
know exactly what she did, but yes,
Okay.
but I don't know what she did.
Prior to Charles being a financial advisor, did he have a very different career in sports?
Oh, he quit, I don't remember because I was quite young then, but he did, I believe he was drafted in the early 70s into the Houston Astros minor league.
So when you were growing up, did you see your brother playing baseball?
I was raised at a baseball field. If it wasn't Charles, Jerry played for years, my other brother, but Charles stuck with it, and that's how he got to college with a degree, with a scholarship.
So you got stuck many a night and a weekend having to be at the ball field with your brother?
Yes,
What position did your brother play?
he was a pitcher. He was very, very good. He was a left-handed pitcher, and they're very hard to hit against.
Okay. Did he bat right or left-handed?
He was left-handed.
Did he do everything left-handed?
Yes.
Left-handed? After your brother, well, let me ask you, do you know how long he played in a semi-pro?
I don't, he had moved to Houston, and but he blew out his knee.
So the reason they're bringing up him being left-handed, a southpaw, is because Lori and her brother boyfriend Alex put the bat in his right hand. Now, naturally, if your dominant hand is left hand, that would be the one that would, pick up. Again, he consistently and throughout his life was left-handed. So them putting the bat in his right hand was actually really stupid. That being said, everything about Lori is pretty stupid.
And that's into that right there.
Did your brother stay in shape after that, even though he blew out his knee?
Oh, yes, he was always doing something, always. Bike riding, hiking, just anything. Gym, he was very active.
So every time you saw him, he was taking care of himself.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about religion. Did your family grow up in the LDS church or faith?
No, we did not.
Did you know Charles to ever convert to the LDS faith?
He did at some point during his marriage to Lori.
Okay. When Lori and Charles were married, did they always live in one state, or did they move?
No, they lived here in Phoenix, in the Phoenix area, Chandler, Gilbert, and then they moved to Hawaii in 2014, and then they moved back late 2016 or early 2017.
Back to,
Back here to Phoenix area.
do you recall where they were, what state they were in when they met?
When Charles and Lori met, they
Yeah.
were in Texas.
Texas, okay. In 2018, 2018 and 19, you told us that Charles and JJ would come visit you and the family regularly.
Yes.
In March of 2018, did you have a member of your family pass away?
Yes, my mother did in March of 18.
Did Charles come out for that?
Yes, he did. He was there for her services. Lori was not, and we felt like something was going on. Well, actually, my husband felt it before I did, and then when she didn't show for my mother's funeral, I just thought that was just appalling. It appalled me that she wouldn't even come to something like that with her husband.
You know, having gone through this very recently with Mr. Moe's mom getting sick kind of suddenly and then passing away, even on my worst pain day, I would not leave him alone to deal with that. It just, even if we were in a big fight, that's still something I just couldn't imagine doing, especially with, you know, your mom, you know, that person that was always there for, I mean, for most people. Look, some people have friction with their moms, but this seems like a loving, involved family, and then to not support your partner. Lori, you are so stuck on yourself. I know that it's only a clinging monkey and like I have no probably gibberish going on in your head, but that's a pretty dick move.
What was your relationship like with Lori?
Because of the work I did, the company we owned, I was on the phone an extreme amount of time, all the time. So I really don't like to call people. I'm not a phone person. I'll text you all day long, but I really don't like to talk. And so Lori and I never really had a big phone relationship. It was a text here and there, but mostly Charles would keep me up to date as to, you know, different things that were going on, or you know, what they were up to, and or Charles would call. Yeah, Charles would call me mostly.
So you weren't, it sounds like you weren't close with her.
When Lori and I were together, it was like we hadn't missed a minute. We just took up where we left off, and she's very outgoing, and she's very friendly and very easy to talk to, and so we got along rather well, and I loved her.
Okay. So continuing in 2018, do you recall seeing Charles and JJ coming out to visit you guys in October of 2018?
Yes,
What was that for?
just a weekend visit.
Okay. What about in November of 2018? Did you see Charles and JJ then?
We did. My husband and myself and my granddaughter, we went to Las Vegas, and Charles and JJ met us there for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. I thought that was odd. He wasn't with his family. He said Lori was sick, or Tylee was sick, is what he told us. But it just, I mean, he just wouldn't share what all was going on at that point. Then when he finally did, he unloaded it all.
So in 2018, did you have any idea there were any, let me say this, in 2018, did you have some concerns about their relationship?
Yes, it was, for him to come as often as they were coming was odd, and just.
I will say, again, I feel like I'm getting to know Charles, and I am glad that they had a safe space to go and get away from the Lori drama as much as they did. I'm sure Kay welcomed them every time, you know, whether she thought there was something hinky going on with Lori. I am glad that they had a little reprieve. I mean, their stories are so tragic, but it does make me feel a little better that, you know, Charles was able to unload with someone. Someone listened to him, because, you know, for daggone sure, Lori's family didn't. But I'm glad he had a place where he could talk and unload.
He was just unsettled, and we knew something was going on, but he would never say. So he did, you know, he talked to us when he was ready.
When we get into 2019, did you start to see your brother more?
Yes.
First, without going into what Charles said, did you ever become aware finally that his marriage with Lori was in trouble?
Yes, I did.
In 2019, again, without going into what Charles said, did you ever believe that Charles was concerned for his safety?
Charles was absolutely concerned for his safety. Lori had sent me a text, I think it was on a Thursday, that she and Charles were fighting because of some stuff she came up with, and that she and JJ and Tyler.
The dismissal of whatever Lori gave a crap about, like it was something she made up. That is going to piss Lori off to no end. I imagine that Lori is already on like DEFCON 6. That just took her to 10. She is going to be so salty about that. And I love it.
We were at a hotel. Well, I guess Tyler was, I'm not sure. And because she didn't want to have any fighting, so they went to a hotel. And I came out. I knew Charles the next day. That's when she sent it to me. And then I just really I didn't call Charles. I knew he'd call me, and he sure enough did. And he was a mess. And so I flew out the next day out here to help him with JJ and just to come and talk to him and see what was going on. He was alone, and Lori's family turned their backs on him and JJ. Okay.
Let's just kind of break it all down.
All right.
Now you got a lot that you remember. So you said that you got a text from Lori indicating that she and JJ and Tylee were at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said that Charles then called you maybe the next day,
Yeah.
and you came out here to Arizona.
Yes.
When you came out here to Arizona, did you become aware at that point that there was a big problem now with their relationship?
There was a huge problem now with their relationship.
And during this time when you had come out here, do you remember approximately when that was?
Like the 1st of February of 2019, or the 2nd. It was right in there.
When you came out here, did you then speak with Charles about his concerns for his safety? Just yes or no?
About his what?
His concerns for his safety?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Just yes. Is this the time where, well, let me ask it this time. When you came out here, did you see Lori?
No,
When you came out here, did anyone know where Lori was?
no, nobody was talking about where she was. Nobody would tell Charles where she was.
So your brother was trying to find where she was?
Yes, he was.
Where was JJ at this time?
He was with Charles, and that's one of the reasons I came out was to help him with JJ, because he was quite a handful, and Charles was a mess. He was broken. He was a broken-hearted man.
So you come out here, Charles has JJ. Where's Tylee? Do you know?
She's, as far as we knew, she was staying at Lori's brother's. That's what we knew then.
Did you have any interaction with her?
No.
How long did Charles have JJ where he's looking for Lori and can't find her?
Well, that portion of the time was 58 days, and I knew how many days it was because every day Charles would say something. He would tell me.
So he was counting them.
He would count them.
Okay, why the hell Charles didn't just cut off her credit card? Because I'm spiteful and vindictive, and I'd have done that. Like, you want to go and hide and run away? That's cool, but you're not doing it on my dime.
Were you out here the whole time? What'd you do?
I could work remotely at the time, so I did stay out here a lot, often, but I would fly back. I was back and forth between Louisiana and here from February until the end of March, because at that point, we moved Charles to Houston.
So the end of March, you said you were moving Charles to Houston. Was that with JJ?
Yes,
Why are you helping to move to Houston?
because Charles told me that Lori did not want J-Day anymore, or Kylie, or him. And I said, okay, well, look, what if you move to Houston and I'll be 2.5 hours away? And when you go out of town, I'll come and stay with JJ. And so he was talking about hiring a nanny. And I said, no, I will be the nanny and I'll come and take care of him when you have to work. And it's easy enough. And, you won't have to pay a penny.
So when Charles has JJ, you're helping take care of JJ in this time period in February, March.
Yes.
What about Charles's business? Did you help with that at all?
Yes, I had to get my arms around the whole thing. All the payments that needed to be made, the accounts, the emails, all that stuff you have to change over and change the password and all that, so Lori couldn't access it any longer.
You said you had your own job. What were you doing at that time in addition to helping your brother?
My husband and I owned a coastal crew change. It was a transportation company for the offshore oil and gas and LNG industry.
Okay.
And what I really like about this woman is salt of the earth. This woman is, when you think family's got your back, she should be in the dictionary for best sister ever. She dropped everything. She helped her brother. She didn't, say, this is too much. We just lost our mother. She just said, I'll be there. And gosh darn it, if it's not your family, if you have a friend like this, keep them and treat them like gold. This woman is amazing. Again, she dropped everything to go help JJ and her brother when his wife left and there was chaos. She helped make sure he was secure, at least with all the passwords and things like that. She watched JJ. This is the type of woman that is she is worth more than gold. She is the most beautiful-hearted woman I've met. I haven't met her, but to have everything that's happened in her life and still be like this.
So you're trying to work that job and help Charles with his business.
Yes, I had a really great assistant who helped me an awful lot.
Do you remember when you were packing up to move Charles to Houston?
Yes.
You there?
I was there.
Did Lori show back up?
She did. I was in the pantry in the kitchen, packing up the pantry, and I don't know what, just something caught my attention, and I walked out and she was standing there. She had her back to me. Charles was sitting at the table on his phone, and he obviously didn't realize that she was there. And then finally, when he hung up, he looked up and there she was, and he started crying, and she started yelling.
Do you recall what she was yelling about?
That, why did you take JJ? Why did you take JJ? Why did you take him out of school? Why are you moving? What are you doing? All this is your fault. It was just ridiculous.
So she'd been gone for 58 days.
Lori is going to be so pissed. We are going to see so many fireworks when she gets up because, again, if I was in the jury, this woman is coming across as, yes, from the lens, she probably has a lot of access to grind, but she's not digging in. She's like I would, because not everything I would say would be an insult. But she's doing it in a way that you realize, yes, she probably isn't here for Lori, but she's not exaggerating. She's not overdoing it like I would do. She's just great.
Leaving.
No contact whatsoever.
And then she shows up at the house when you guys are moving out.
Yeah.
What was Charles's demeanor reaction? You said he was crying?
He was at first, but then he was just trying. Charles was a very soft-spoken man, and he was just trying to get a word in edgewise. And finally, Lori settled down a little bit, and they went and they talked for a while in the living room, or the I guess it's like a great room, and then they moved to the bedroom to talk. And I could still hear every now and then Lori would get a little loud, but they were talking. And then I remember that Lori came, let's see, I was sitting at the dining table, and she stood next to me and she said, "I love you, KK." And I said, "Well, I love you too. I'm sorry this is happening." And she cried, and I didn't know what to do really. So, I mean, I just was there. And then she walked off, and the next day she came, I don't know who came.
Oh my Lord, this woman is me because I never know what to do to help someone when they're crying because I'm not a hug person. And so I don't want to assume that someone is a hug person. So I end up awkwardly patting people, which I hope gives them, I'm trying to give them comfort, but I'm so damn awkward that I don't know if someone really wants a hug and then like how long should I hug them? And then, so I end up just patting people.
But they got Tylee's belongings out of the casita where all of Tylee's belongings were. And I don't remember if she got anything of hers. I really don't remember.
Okay. So are we now talking at the beginning, end of March, beginning of April of 2019, when Charles is moving back to Houston?
Yeah.
Did he bring JJ with him?
Yes. Well, in order for me and Charles to move in, Larry, I flew out here and brought JJ back to Louisiana with me. And then my husband, Larry, kept him for a week while I flew back here to help Charles pack and then drive back to Houston.
All right, so you guys rented a big truck and drove it?
He drove the U-Haul, I drove his pickup.
All right. When you and Charles got to Houston, then did your husband bring JJ back?
Yes, he did.
Through all of this time with Charles when he was looking for Lori while she was gone for those 58 days, did he still want Lori to be part of JJ's life?
He did. He never was trying to take that away from Lori, even though Lori didn't want him anymore. I still didn't. I never really.
And okay, again, for a child with autism, normalcy, not normalcy, I don't think that's a word. Normality is so important, structure. I can't imagine what JJ thought when his mom just up and left and didn't take him with her. I mean, I don't know how his brain processed that, but I can imagine it was a confusing and heartbreaking time for him. How do you explain to someone that your mom is going crazy and she just ran out? My heart goes out to JJ and Charles and Kay. Lori, you are such a dynamic butthole. I hate you so much.
really
trying
understood
not
that,
to
but I guess
curse.
he was just hoping for the best. But yes, he absolutely wanted her to be part of his life, Lori's life.
So once Charles moved to Houston, did Lori ever also move out there?
I don't know if you call it moved out there, but she did. She came that day on March 28th. Charles said, look, we're moving to Houston. You're welcome to come. I'll fly you out Sunday. And she said, no, I'm busy. I have a project or something she was doing in Hawaii. She said, it'll be about 2 weeks and I'll be in Houston. So whatever she did, she was gone for 2 weeks, 2 more weeks. It was a total of 72 days, I believe, she was gone altogether. And then she was there. She and Tylee moved in at Charles's, and Charles said that she slept in JJ's room with him.
So the first 2 weeks when Charles and JJ are in Houston without Lori, were you ever there to help with JJ or Charles's business?
No, Lori was there. I mean,
I guess
JJ was.
Before she moved there, the 2 weeks.
I think,
Or did you?
I had to go home for a little while, but Charles came like the weekend. And, so if I wasn't here, he was there.
Okay. So once you drove him there, you may have stayed to help him and then you went home.
Yeah,
And you weren't there when Lori came to Houston.
no.
You told us that you had been helping your brother with his business, and I think you had said something about changing passwords.
Yeah,
Was that to different financial accounts?
right. Credit card, banks, stuff like that. Yeah, the password to Google, the password to,
All the things you use for business.
yes,
And so when you started helping him, you had changed a lot of those passwords.
yes.
At some point, did you become aware that, or at some point, did Charles stop asking you to help him with the business?
He did, and that's when Lori came back.
Okay. Now, you said that your brother worked in annuities, right?
Yes,
Right, that last part of the time when you were working with him up through sort of the end of March, beginning of April, were you aware of Charles coming into a large amount of money?
he was receiving an annuity, what do you call it? I can't think of the word right now, but he was receiving like $125,000 check for his commission for annuities, and Lori obviously knew that because she was there just a few days.
I need to get into financialology. I mean, I'd be dead awful at it. Honest to goodness, this is probably the job that works best for me. But holy goodness,
Before that came into the bank. That
probably
was
also
deposited
worked his
into the bank. I
behind
had
off.
access to the bank, so I would watch that.
So even though Lori came back, you still had the passwords to look into Charles's account?
Yes,
Do you know how long Lori stayed in Texas with Charles?
it's like she wasn't there the entire time, but I mean, she was always traveling through May. I'll say towards the end of May. I'm not for sure exactly what day.
Okay. So at some point, a couple months later, you become aware that she has left Houston.
Yes.
Did you know where she went?
Yeah, she was back back here.
Did JJ come with her when she moved back here to Arizona?
He did.
And did you know, did your brother move back here?
No, he did not.
And with your access to the finances, were you aware whether or not Charles was paying for a house here in Arizona for Lori and JJ?
I really don't recall seeing that transaction. I really don't, but that, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. At that time, I was selling my company, and so I had a lot going on at that time, and that's when it was really getting, the due diligence. The company was doing their due diligence, so I had to provide a lot of information for them, and so it really was perfect timing because then I got super busy with my company, and I didn't have to deal with all of Charles's because Lori was back. Or
Let me ask you something else. Were you aware of when Charles met Lori, or they got married? Do you know if she worked?
she was a hairdresser. She did work as a hairdresser, and I don't know exactly when she quit working, but I don't think she worked long, if she did, after they got married.
Okay, so for most of the time when you knew them to be married, you did not see her working outside the home.
No.
Did Charles, I guess, work so she could stay home with the kids?
Yes, he was fine with being a one income, letting her stay home, tend to the kids, and he would be the moneymaker.
Now, I know that we've talked about Charles working in the area of financial planning. Did you know if Charles had a life insurance policy?
Yes.
That's something that, how did you learn about that?
Well, I mean, he had told my husband Larry and I years ago, he helped us acquire $1 million life insurance policy for me and my husband each. And because he always had one and Lori had one. So that was nothing new or unusual to talk about.
Okay. At some point when you were helping Charles, when Lori had disappeared and Charles didn't know where she was, did you have a conversation with Charles about the beneficiary of his life insurance?
Yes, it was early February when I came here to help him with JJ, and he said, "Look, I'm going to take Lori off as beneficiary, and I'm going to put you as the beneficiary." And I was like, we talked about maybe a minute and a half about it, and I was like, okay, whatever. I really don't want to be that person, but okay. And I never followed up to see if he changed. I didn't know until I got the phone call after he was killed.
So the discussion you had of that change was during that time period when he couldn't find Lori, he had no idea where he was, and he was taking care of JJ?
Yes,
And you were helping him take care of JJ.
yes.
So if something had happened to Charles during that time when Lori wasn't around, would you have taken care of JJ?
Yes, he would have come back to me and my husband.
So I want to kind of go to right around that July time period. Do you recall when was the last time, I'll start with, when was the last time you saw your brother, Charles?
That's a good question.
I'll allow it, Mr. Lolly.
Probably must have been in June.
And do you recall where that was or the
I think he came to
circumstances?
Lake Charles for the weekend.
Did you see JJ then?
Yeah, no. The last time I saw JJ was May 18th.
When was the last time you recall speaking or texting with your brother, Charles?
He texted me the night before he was shot, and just, hey, I'm going to be in Phoenix tomorrow, and how's it going? And just a little short text, and I'm boarding the plane now, and I'll be back in Phoenix in a little bit. And then he told me a few other things he had planned, but that was not much, not a big deal.
Did you
Nothing
think
major.
he was going to Phoenix to just see JJ?
Yes.
Did you know anything about any type of intervention?
No, he never talked. If he did talk to me about it, and I'm pretty sure I would have remembered that. But no, I know that he and Adam was his confidant during that time, Lori's brother. And so I know that whatever he was doing, Adam was part of it. And, they were just, I knew he was in good hands with Adam, because Adam, they love Charles, him and his wife.
Do you have any knowledge of Charles wanting to get a place here in Phoenix so he could be closer to JJ?
I don't remember that, but I can't remember that. I mean, I don't know.
No,
I can't
okay,
answer
that's
that.
okay. I want to talk to you then about, so you talked to your brother, just kind of normal stuff as he was, before he got here to Phoenix. How did you learn that your brother Charles was dead?
It was on July the 12th. I was at a nail salon in Lake Charles, my granddaughter and I, and I got a call from his oldest son, Cole, and he said, "Hey, what is going on? I just got a text from Lori, and she said Dad's dead." And I said, wait, what did you just say? And he told me again, and I said, something's wrong with that. That can't be true. And I said, have you tried to call her? And Cole's like, yeah, she won't. I'm trying to call her. She's not answering. He was freaking out. And I was like, okay, Cole, just give me a minute. Let me think about this. Let me see. And I'll call you back. I promise. As soon as I can figure this out. So I'll call my husband to tell him.
Lori, you unrelenting, unforgivable, see you next Tuesday. To send a text to someone's child that they are dead. I don't care if you're a transmogrified Mighty Morphin Mormon. You are the worst, most terrible human being ever. You have no light shining out from you from the Creator. You are not anything but a horrible, terrible demon. What an unconscionable thing to do.
And he said, okay, well, I told him that what Cole said, and he said, hey, let me call you back in a minute. And so I was still at the nail salon trying to get out of there. And he called and he said, he's dead. I Googled him and he's dead. Alex killed him yesterday. And I mean, that was just like, it was horrible. I have to call my siblings and let them know.
Okay, I don't do sad, I do angry. So, Lori, I hope and pray that one day you get a taste times 10 of all the pain, horror, and stupidity and lives that you've wrecked. I hope one day it just karma is there. God's wheel grinds slowly but relentlessly. And one day, whether it's in this world or the other, you are going to feel all the pain and all the destruction you wrought on this world. Transmogrified or not, justice comes for all of us.
Thank you. And everybody was just freaked out. I didn't know what to do. But I did call Cole back and let him know that it was true. And just was telling him, let's keep in touch. You find out something, I find out something, we'll let each other know. And
Did you try to reach out to Lori?
I tried calling, texting Charles. I tried calling, texting Lori. And at some point she texted me, she returned a text, something like, I'm having to deal with a lot of stuff and I'm busy. And she was too busy to even call his family to say that he was dead by her brother killing him. And
Take a breath. So you had tried to reach her and she was too busy to talk to you.
yeah.
Okay, I really like this female attorney from the state. This is going to be a terribly difficult witness. Even if this is the witness you called forth as the state, she has to go through some deeply painful and emotional, testimony. So the fact that she's being gentle and reminding her to breathe, giving her Kleenexes. Oh, okay. Attorney Trina K. Sorry. Reading is fundamental and I need to do it better. But I really have been impressed with both the state and the judge in this case. Now, I do have a video up. Lori is trying to appeal her case for Brandon Boudreaux. I don't know if she's already put an appeal in for this particular case. The one appeal that she did put in was for the Brandon Boudreaux case because she was sick. As a person with chronic pain all the time, shut the hell up, Lori. You have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Did you ever, what was the burial plans? Did you ever get Charles back? What happened with him?
We ended up calling a detective, the detectives in Chandler, since that's where it happened. And we were able to speak to a detective, I don't know who, but we told them that I had already arranged us a flight.
Okay, Northwest, I've only gotten the one for the Brandon Boudreaux. I need to get the one for this particular trial. She is again, Lori, you have a fool for a client. You decided to go pro se. So when you're sick, those people that usually speak about the law aren't there. So you have to be there. Yes, you have to put on your big girl panties and go sick because you decided to represent yourself. And the world, the court, and anything else, nothing revolves around you, Lori. Not one thing.
Flight for the next day. We were here by noon Saturday because I needed to know where JJ was. I didn't know what he had seen. I didn't know what he knew. I knew he would be, I knew it wasn't good. But I couldn't, we had to talk to the detectives before I did anything with Lori. And we had to wait till Sunday to meet with Nate Moffitt. And then when we talked to him is when I told him about the life insurance policy and that Lori, that I didn't know if Charles had ever changed it to me like he said he was going to do. And so I didn't know, but I just knew we had to get JJ because he was not safe with her.
Let me stop you there. I'm going to go back to Charles. Where was Charles buried, or where was what was done with his remains?
Well, this was before Lori knew she wasn't getting the money. She had him cremated and he was FedEx or whatever over to my office, along with his
Who in the absolute, and I do mean absolute hell, mail orders someone? Lori, Every time I think you can't sink lower into Dante's Inferno, you correct me. I mean, at this point, you are the center you are the axis on which all evil rotates.
Letterman's jacket from high school and a couple pair of cheap sunglasses and one or two watches. It was just a few little trinkets. And Charles had a watch collection, and she just sent some crap.
So she cremated him and FedExed him to you.
Yes,
Sent him to your work office?
yes,
Now, you're saying this is before she learned the life insurance policy was not going to be, she was not going to be the beneficiary. Did you set up like a service for Charles in?
Okay, Northwest, the UPS or USPS has a special procedure. Cremations must be sent by registered mail. I just never heard of this, but it does make sense that, in the grand scheme of things, maybe you do need to send it to someone or somewhere. Wow, learn something new every day.
yes. My family and I made arrangements for a memorial service to happen in Lake Charles on August the 3rd, which was, he was killed July 11th. So took us a little bit to put it together, but we did.
Did you talk to Lori about having JJ come out for Charles's service?
I think the last time I talked to Lori was she told us that she wanted, I asked her, what can we do in Houston? I was trying to be nice because I knew she had something to do with his murder. And I'm not one that can just lie off the cuff. I'm a bad liar. And so
That's
when I
not a
did
bad
talk to
thing.
her, and it was a long, awkward conversation I had with her, but I was like, what do you want us to do with that stuff at the house in Houston? But when we got to the house in Houston, and she did, yeah, y'all please go do what you want to do with it, see what Cole wants, y'all split it up, y'all take it.
She gave you permission to go to the house
Yes.
in Houston and take whatever was there?
Yes, and when we got there, none of Charles's personal belongings were there, nothing at all. And that, I couldn't figure out why nothing of Charles's or JJ's was there. Or wait, nothing of Charles's was there. Just his business files and the big furniture, sofa, beds, stuff like that.
So you went there, you did that. How did you, and you told us that you did not know for sure if your brother had ever changed the beneficiary from Lori to you. How did you find out if that was done?
I think it was the following week, a lady from Banner Life, that's where it's policy, who wrote the policy. A lady called and said that I was the beneficiary, I was the sole beneficiary, and what was our address, and she wanted to verify a few things and to send out the check.
When you got that call, did you ever have Lori confront you about the life insurance policy?
Did I ever have Lori what?
Yeah, did Lori ever confront you about being the beneficiary
Oh.
for Charles's life insurance policy?
Yes, she didn't call and do it. She sent me a text one night, a picture or two of a screenshot. She took a screenshot of the change of beneficiary form with my name on it. And she said something to the effect of 5 kids and his sister gets all the money, or is that why you want JJ? Something to that effect, which it made no sense. I want JJ, period. That was a dumb statement by her.
So let me ask you this. So she told you again that she was left with these 5 kids, right?
Yeah, 5 kids. She had Colby and Tylee and JJ. And
at that
Colby was
time-
out of the house, so it was just Tylee and JJ.
So she's messaging you this saying how upset she is because she has 5 kids to take care of.
Yeah,
And then she tells you that, is this why you wanted JJ to come to Charles's service? Or-
no, I had already gotten the okay from her to come get him. I was gonna fly here, pick him up, go back to Louisiana, keep him for a week and attend so he could attend the service during that time. And when she found out she was not, when she found the change of beneficiary form, she said that she was too busy. They were moving to Hawaii, and it would be too confusing for JJ to come, and he needed to be with her.
Confusing. This little boy just lost the one thing that was stable in his life. Lori, again, every time I think you just can't be more of a monster, you're a high achiever. The amount of corrodated, that yucky, disgusting water that's at the bottom of dumpsters? She is corrodated dumpster water.
So after she found out and had confronted you about that change of beneficiary where you are now getting Charles's life insurance policy, she changed her mind and refused to let JJ go to Charles's service, his
Yes.
debt service. After this confrontation about Charles making you the beneficiary of the life insurance policy, did that pretty much end most of the contact you had with Lori, other than you reaching out to talk with JJ?
Yes.
Of all the people that need probably a strike of lightning for blasphemy, I mean, Lord, I don't know if prison slides are plastic, but I think it might be a good thing. Again, I think God doesn't want to be brought into the conversation when it comes out of Lori's mouth. But as the world's worst Christian, I don't know much about that kind of stuff.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
All right, Cross.
Oh God, gird your loins. It's going to be epic stupid. All the dumb.
Ms. McCock, where were you on July 11th, 2019?
At home in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Were you aware at all of the relationship between Charles and Tylee?
It was, let's say, it was a bit contemptuous. It seemed like there was always a lot of drama going on, and so that's all I knew. He didn't say too much about it, and I didn't pry.
I missed what?
That
Sorry.
you knew that there was some kind of contention going on with those?
Let's say it was a bit contemptuous.
So she's
Okay.
messaging you this, saying you that
Get him. I was going to fly here, and she.
you are now reaching.
Cross.
Oh, I must have. And at Gina USA, in her interview, she said all of the, unaliving spree and deceiving won't matter after she dies. She thinks Jesus has her back. And now, I mean, again, I don't claim to know theology that much, but there were kind of 10 rules that were brought down on stone tablets, and one of them was don't lie, and the other one was don't unalive. And I believe that, all going on with StreamYard. All right, let's continue. The stupid is continuing.
Ms. McCock, where were you on July 11th, 2019?
At home in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Come on, Lori, Lori, sit
Were you
down.
aware at all of the relationship between Charles and Tylee?
It was, let's say, it was a bit contemptuous. It seemed like there was always a lot of drama going on, and so that's all I knew. He didn't say too much about it, and I didn't pry.
Okay, I have no idea what's going on in StreamYard, but apparently when I pull up a thing, it turns off the screen.
But you knew
Good
that there was
Lord.
some kind of contention going on with those two for
I
a
can't hear
while.
you.
I'm sorry. You did know that there was some kind of contention going on with those two for a while.
Yes.
Okay. And you weren't really aware of the events that happened that morning, were you?
The morning of his murder?
Of July 11th?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Because you didn't tell me.
Oh my God, I love this woman. She is staring her down with the heifer, try it. Try one damn thing with me. And that is the kind of energy you need to have with Lori. And I am glad that Kay is giving it out. I will try to pull up your comments, but then it takes off the screen. So hopefully when I refresh my computer, it will take it off. But and again, this woman is Southern pissed. That means she's still going to be sweet as butter. And, but she is done with Lori. D-U-N effing done. Yes. I have no clue. StreamYard and YouTube have lost it.
Ms. Whitlock, did you see or hear or personally witness me conspire with Alex Cox to kill my husband, Charles Vallow?
No, but I saw a ton of evidence that did.
Thank you. No further questions.
Miss Woodcock, I salute you. Good Lord. Y'all, that deserves whatever the hell this is. Brunch in a jar. But ma'am, that was effing epic, and we salute you. The Pettyverse salutes you as captain. Not terrible. I'm just not a big alcohol person, but actually that tastes really good, so that would be a terrible idea for me.
All right, redirect.
Just briefly. You were asked about the
I'm not
relationship
sad.
between your brother and Tylee. How old was Tylee when Lori and Charles got married?
She was 3, or right around 3.
So was Charles in her life for most of her memorable years?
Exactly. Yes, he was.
And how old was she in July of 2019?
She was 16. Yeah, yeah,
So a teenager.
yes.
In terms of their relationship, are you saying that Charles and Tylee never had good times?
Oh, I'm not saying that. I saw them have good times, and it wasn't, it wasn't that they couldn't look at each other, or, it wasn't like that. But I mean, yeah, a teenage girl on one is hard anyway, but I do know that there was a lot of issues with her dad and Lori with her ex-husband and custody, and it was a mess. It was a mess.
So Tylee had a lot going on in her life.
Yes, she did.
I believe at this point, I think Tylee had just lost her father. And I know that there was a lot of friction in their custody battle. I know there were a lot of accusations and things that have not, come out because, again, if a person wants to talk about those allegations, that's their personal business to bring it up when they're comfortable. But I do have a feeling that Lori enjoyed being her children's only source of solace. I do believe that Lori, just being herself, she wanted the children to love only her, is what I feel like. And I feel like she did a lot of things. But I also do wonder, and this is just my speculation, not anything else. I do wonder if Lori was very negative toward Tylee about her weight, or if Tylee gained weight to be different from her mother, because I do think that Lori puts a lot of emphasis on how she looks, and I think Tylee was beautiful. I'm not saying anything, but I know that when you have a mom that's very focused on outward appearances, if you don't live up to their standards, that can be incredibly soul crushing, because they do make comments, they do, little things that, they think are kind of off the cuff. So I do wonder if there was a lot of friction there. And because Charles was soft spoken, because he didn't, add to the drama, he was probably the safest person for Tylee to take her anger, her sadness out on, because unfortunately sometimes, unfortunately, we take things out on the people we know love us and will continue to love us, even if we are a horse's ass. So look at the body cam after Charles' shooting when the officer asks Tylee's height and weight. Lori gave Tylee a look. Yeah, and I think Tylee, as teenagers do, maybe not appropriately, she probably called out Chad Dorkbell. Again, when your mom has all these crazy beliefs and you don't go along with them, you suddenly become possessed with a zombie. So I think that Tylee, in my heart, and it is so effing heartbreaking to think what they did to that precious young lady with an entire life. I don't know how you birth someone and then take them out of this world, or let your boyfriend brother do it. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you hold this tiny, precious little baby, this gift from God, and then 16 short years later, you let your brother unalive her, burn her, and place her in a trash bag where you bury dead animals. You are human garbage, Lori. And as I said yesterday, the world is going to move on. No one cares about you, Lori, the way you think that you should be cared about. No one gives a rat's ass. And I will make it my life's mission that when people remember, and who they remember are Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Tylee, you and your doorbell are going to be a footnote. You're going to be a bad moment, a bad memory. I am so incredibly happy that Kay gave us some insight into JJ and Charles, because, we don't know a lot about them. We know about what happened to them, but I'm so glad that we got to, at least learn a little bit about Charles and JJ from her. And I hope that those memories live on of JJ, Tylee, Tammy, and Charles. I could give a rat's ass whatever happens to you, Lori. I hope everyone forgets your name. I hope you don't get any letters. I hope no one fills your honey bun account. You and Chad Dorkbell can live in, quiet silence and gen pop justice, allegedly in Minecraft.
And you would see her and Charles at times have difficulty getting along.
I never really saw anything that sticks out in my mind. But I just know he'd tell me how it was just difficult. And as a step parent, it can be very difficult. I can attest to that.
So on July 11th, when Charles Vallow was killed, did you actually have any idea that your brother was dead?
None at all. How would I know?
So in terms of you learning that your brother was dead, it was never from Lori
Or
Vallow.
from her.
It was,
It was from Google that my husband found.
thank you. I have no other questions.
Are there any questions for this witness from anyone on the jury? I don't see any questions. You can step down now.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, this was going to be a shorter one. As per Friday rules with Baker, I have adopted, so I will finish this off. We will be riding on the Petty Express tomorrow. Legal Shenanigans Theater is on hold for a little bit. Veilhammer has some actual real life, like smart people things to do rather than just playing around on a Saturday with me. So we will be going to day 5. And then hopefully speeding through onto the Brandon Boudreaux. It will be an absolute blast. I will probably use all the curse words because Lori has just, to see Kay cry and know the pain of having to find out that her brother, again, the brother that she's been, with him in his life, they to find out on Google, it's monstrous. It's beyond my comprehension how someone could do that. But it's Lori, and the depths of human depravity just don't seem to have an end with her. So, to Miss Woodcock, thank you. And sincerely, thank you for letting us know JJ a little better, for knowing your brother. We never met him. You know, to us, he's always been, a victim. And thank you for letting us know that he was so much more than that. He was a good father, a good brother, a good husband, tried his best, tried to make things work. And, we got to know just a little bit more about them. And I can imagine that is incredibly difficult to, share, to relive. And thank you for giving Lori the effing laser fucking stare she deserves. Salute. Okay, this actually pretty good, which means I should never get it again because booze generally tastes like nail polish remover to me. Not that I've drunk nail polish remover ever. I really haven't. But you smell it and you kind of taste it when you're doing your nails. That being said, that actually tastes pretty good, so I can never get it again because that could be a problem. I am sending you over to, who am I sending you over? Recovery Addict. I'm trying to mix it up. So if you want to go over there, I think he is doing the quadruple stabbing case. Again, I can only stay up on one case at a time, so I have not even delved into what that one is about. I know Baker is on, so you can go there and give him love. I'm just trying to spread the redirects around. So have a lovely day. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire because you never know when you're going to meet a Lori in disguise. Because apparently the see you next Tuesdays of the world just will not wear a sign on their forehead. Bye, you guys.